Welcome to Phillips. I'm going to be super quick because Gary's already used a lot of time. Gary, we're excited to have Gary here today for a few reasons. First thing is Gary was one of our first members. He was badgering me even before we'd opened. So it's cool to finally understand what he does because I haven't figured it out. Second reason, Gary is a prime example of the kind of person that we had in mind when we opened the Green Room, and that's people that lived somewhere else and now realize that they can do their international job from JBay. So that's super exciting. The third reason is Gary claims that he's the person who's introduced the most members to the Green Room. So we're going to do a poll afterwards, a show of hands to see who's actually come here because of Gary and settle this once and for all.
Yeah,
over to you, Gary. Thanks.
Thanks. Yes, I think a big topic on my heart that I get that I think about often is that I often get people in the co-working space and friends and family around the dinner table always talking about their billion-dollar idea that they want to get off the ground, and I always get excited with them. But I've unfortunately gone through some learnings myself that have actually helped me get to where I am now. And I call them failures, but I think the biggest failure in life is not doing anything. So I've learned a lot through the process. And since I started on my internet journey a good 15, 20 years ago, a lot's changed. And I think there's better and easier ways to actually launch incredible online businesses, make money, and live in places like this. So let me just jump into the mighty PowerPoint presentation. I think the best way to talk about this is to go through stories and products that I've been a part of. One of them being a health product we launched that was a good 5-8 years ago. We had some health entrepreneurs approaching us saying they've got this incredible idea, they want to build this app that introduces coaches to people. And we were like, whoa, this is incredible, let's buy in. So I was part of a venture studio where we would invest with entrepreneurs, sharing the cost and revenue to actually build these products out. 2 years later, ended up becoming a fail. We weren't profitable, didn't make money. And it turns out that we didn't actually find the real core problem and the real core MVP. And it turns out these coaches were doing this with WhatsApp. They didn't need a 1 or 2 million rand app. It could have just been sold with WhatsApp. But I think what's in all of us is what we always think that an app's going to solve this problem, but it actually isn't. There's actually quicker and leaner ways to get things done and solve problems. Yes, there's similar apps that do work in the States. Much different market. Whereas in SA, you're looking at the market size for someone wanting to pay a few hundred rand per month for a health coach with an online app. I think it's too much of a smaller market to justify the expenditure of a 1 to 2 million rand app. The other one was my passion project. My wife can bear that. My wife's here as well. I often come home with these ideas, I'm so excited about this idea, and this is one of them that, we're around a studio, or you can call it like a co-working space. You've got music playing, and you or you're in a coffee shop, and you wanna play what's on the music. You want the old jukebox back. And anyway, I got this idea. I brought it back to the studio, and guys, let's build this thing. Quite a bit of cash later, quite a bit of travels. We launched it. It was exciting. So there was quite a few coffee shops like House of Machines and places like that using in Cape Town and in Joburg, and it got traction. And then all of a sudden, this was in the days when people were playing music with MP3s, and all of a sudden Spotify launched and Apple Music and Google Play, and we just went shut down. We just shut down the business. That was, I think, the lesson they learned. I don't know what the lesson actually was, but I think you got to know your market and know, music, I will not ever touch with a barge pole ever again. It's such a scary industry. There's so much legal and law, it's exciting. I think maybe the lesson there is don't jump onto things because they're exciting. Actually research your market. Look at actually the opportunity before you just jump in. I'll skip this one, it'll be too long. The other incredible opportunity we had was building an online wine platform. Once again, an entrepreneur, 3 winemakers came to us saying, we've got this incredible idea, we want to build wine online and help the everyday consumer like select the vineyard, select the winemaker, upload their label. And we were like, wow, this is innovative, this is incredible. 2 years later as well, built this beautiful, slick app, worked across all the apps and devices. I think we had about 400 customers, and I think we just broke even. And the reason there is that this to be a part of the subscription was probably around 30,000 Rand to start off. So it's very much a selective blue chip market, very, very, very niche. And we just over-engineered this thing to the cows come home. We got the best designers, the best app devs, and we could have saved a lot of money with just creating like an MVP. And I'll talk more about that MVP just now. Then this is one of Gary's passion projects, and I started like getting it a little bit right there. We as a studio, we were about 20 and we grew to about 40 people. And we noticed that performance reviews and managing staff with paper, like, I don't know what performance reviews are, but when you review your employees and you give them a score out of 3 or 5 and how well they're doing, and you give them some appreciation. It turned out this was quite a tedious process done with paper. And I said to the team, wow, they can build this and make it easy. So we built a scrappy little solution internally for ourselves. I grabbed one of the interns. I said, come, let's just build something. He turned around 2 weeks. We started using it. And then like word kind of spread, and some other like fellows from similar industries heard about it and they wanted to start using it. So we put up a quick landing page on the internet. And next thing, I got a call from Pep. Like, this is recorded. I hope it doesn't go live. Anyway. So Pep, if you're reading, anyway, so Pep said, one of the main HR people said, hey, I heard about this incredible product. We've been looking for it. Can we use it? And I was like, and I looked back to the team. I was like, this is the most terrible, broken solution. I was like, yeah, we can have a look. We'll come demo. So we demoed to them. And then they said, when can we have it? I said, it's going to take about 3 months to like make sure it's right for your organization. So I ran back to the studio. We got them to pay for like a year's license, and I ran back and I got a team on and we built this product. And that's maybe a better way where I'm hinting at where you should be going about building things, is try and like find the audience, try and find the problem and market it, and then start looking at how to actually build it before wasting a lot of money and time. And anyway, so that Pep was the first client, and then one by one we got other clients and just iterated. And then yeah, literally it was a ongoing process. Try to stay bootstrapped. Got funding from a seed round from Thomas Schmieder. He's like the ex-CEO of Atari. I don't know how we got him on our board, and Ryan. And we just managed to scrape the barrel. And as we were about to die, we got funding from them, which brought us through for another few years and got us to profitability. And as we hit profitability, we had some opportunities to scale overseas, but saw that the market was too saturated, and investors want like 10x return, and we saw that bringing too much investment would have actually accelerated us too quickly, and it would have actually bottomed us out. So we decided to just stay profitability, and I realized like I don't need to be involved in the business anymore. So I stepped away. And I've got a small team running it, and it's profitable, and it just keeps going. So I'm hoping one day it can do well for itself. So yeah, so it's like a small little startup that started from nothing. So I want to talk more about MVP. So I keep going on the topic of MVP. So the MVP is like a minimal viable product. So whenever you're building something, just don't try and like build this big beautiful car. Try work out what the problem you're solving and try and get from A to B. So an example of that, you want to build something that's going to solve transport, build a skateboard, and then build a bicycle, and start iterating. Don't try and build the whole thing and take 2 years to work out that it didn't work. That's what I'm trying to solve here. Then I always use the hot dog analogy. Like if you're selling hot dogs, you don't need all the fancy garnish and sauces. People aren't buying that. All they want is this beautiful bun with a hot dog, and start with there, and then add all your sauces on there. I often hear all these entrepreneurs saying, I've got this great idea, it's going to have this feature and this feature and this feature, and I'm going, what is the minimum thing that you can sell, that you're going to give to a customer that they're actually going to purchase and buy? So So I've got a few failures. I want to show incredible opportunities that you think you can learn from. So we always hear about these unicorns or these great companies in Silicon Valley thinking, oh, there's so much money and they've built these incredible products. But you've actually looked at where they started from. So Dropbox started with someone writing a thread on a forum saying, I've got this idea, instead of sharing all your content on a USB stick, we can put it in the cloud. And I'll send you guys this deck afterwards, but like this thread was all these developers saying, oh, this is such a terrible idea, you can just FTP it and put it on some kind of a Google Drive, and then it was all the reasons why it's a lame idea. And then he realized, like, there's still such a big problem. So he just launched a landing page with email addresses, and he got thousands of people saying he wants this product. So he got the validation before he built the product, and he literally only built the product like 2 years later. So it's just incredible. It's an incredible story of just trying to validate and find that audience before going out to build. Google AdWords, geez, I think it's like a $12 billion industry right now. They started off with, so AdWords is, you know, when you're Googling something, co-working space in Jeffreys Bay, there's ads on the right that are automatically generating based on people bidding for the ads. There were people manually creating those ads in the background to test the viability of it before going ahead with it. So you can do a lot of things manually at the beginning. Groupon as well. Also, like, I think they hit $1 billion status. They were just a WordPress site. They didn't use a fancy CMS or custom code, just a very scrappy WordPress site. I don't know where they are now, but and then Zappos was one of the leading commerce stores. I think they got bought up by Amazon, but he would literally just take pictures of shoes. So instead of buying a whole bunch of shoes, he would take pictures of shoes, put them on the internet, and based on people buying them, he would ship them. He would go out and buy the shoe thereafter and sell it to them. So it was very exciting. So just to show you how scrappy you can be. Amazon, Jeff Bezos as well. He didn't go buy books. He just found a whole bunch of books, listed them, and as people wanted to buy them, he would go and source them and sell them to them. So Airbnb is like, oh man, there's so many stories on Airbnb, but how much can I get here? Okay. I think Airbnb, the most exciting for me at Airbnb is that they didn't have to, they'd only hired their first program after 6 months. So they literally built their own little website by themselves. And when they first got their first round of funding, Peter Thiel told them, you know what, like they weren't like hitting the metrics that they were after, like their goals they set out. And Peter said to them, why aren't you sitting with your customers? You've got to get feedback from your customers. So they actually had to go fly to New York and interview and chat to customers, like, why aren't you using the platform? Why aren't people clicking on the link to check out the apartment? And it turns out that the people weren't liking the photographers, the photos. So then they manually went to go take photos of the apartments, nice photos, and put them up on the site. And it turns out like they increased their conversion by 50%. So it turns out photos were a big thing. And then they added the photography service on top of that. So it shows you that you can't sit behind your computer all day and just think things are going to work. You have to continuously discuss things with your customers and get feedback on that. Oh man, but I'm just going to go move on here. So I think just a quick way on how to do this. Like, first, identify the opportunity. There's simple canvases like the business model canvas where you can add little sticky notes and look at different frameworks on how big this opportunity is and validate to see if it's needed. You don't want to go down the routes that I went where you realize the market's too small. Then you can talk to customers. I can't say it enough. Just try and focus on what the problem is and trying to focus on your feature and your product. I often hear people saying, I'm going to build the next Facebook and it's going to do this, but I'm always going like, what's the problem that you're solving? You got to keep coming back to the problem and the pain point. And then a brand. I can't say it enough. I've seen so many entrepreneurs get stuck on a logo for like 6 months or a year, and then they still haven't done anything or spoken to customers. Like the Nike logo took $35 in 17 hours. There's tons of free logo creators out there that you can literally go and build a logo on your mobile phone in 5 minutes. Don't waste time on that. The most important thing is what you're building. And then just a landing page in a domain. And then I think the most important thing is like building an audience first. You can literally write ebooks, get do podcasts, blogging, and like try and build a community first. That's going to help you identify that problem, so that when you've built something, you got that community to take the problem to. So I would, in the past, it was always like build the product first, and then market, and then community. I say it's now building a community first, and then marketing, and then product. So it's almost like the triangles is flipped, you know. And you don't need to know how to code anymore. Like a lot's changed in the last 10 years, but like there's so many no-code tools out there. There's a great place called MakerPad, and there's online lessons there. You can literally build an Airbnb clone without code in like an hour. Like you honestly do not need a code. You don't need an app. You don't need a coder. You can literally build these solutions by yourself. It really is that easy. And then just reading, there's some great material. The Lean Startup is my favorite. Air Grease, he just continuously drums home the fact of launching an MVP, the $100 startup, and getting real. So these are great resources. You can check this link out. And then the tools, just for planning, there's a great tool called Miro. It's like an online board. You can drag and drop sticky notes. There's Trello for prioritizing your backlog, and I've tried to get my wife on Trello. It still hasn't worked, but but it's a great way to prioritize your to-dos and collaborate on things to get done. There's Figma for design, also like a free tool. You can design your interface and your mockups. There's there's Godaddy Studio. It's a product I'm part of right now, and you can go and create your own logo on there, like with your mobile app. It's that simple. And then there's also like a new tool we launched now called a link and buy tool. So you can literally create your own little website on your phone. You don't need to create this glamorous website. And then if you want a full website, you've got Webflow, which is a very simple no-code tool to create like a fully fledged website with a CMS on board. And then there's Airtable, which anything you want to automate, you can literally do with Airtable and Zapier. Like as people sign up, you can make them, it can populate to a database and send an email. You can literally build the platform to make it look like it's got about 100 employees built in the platform, but it actually isn't. You can automate literally everything. And that's it. Woo! Jeez. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. I think COVID proved a lot. Like our move was out of COVID, so we were coming here every winter, and then we got stuck here. I think in 2020 during lockdown, unfortunately but fortunately, and that obviously extended our stay. And realized that, you know, I was always fighting working remote, and we were living it out, but I was still doing a lot of flying. But that kind of, it like put the nail in the coffin that I don't have to fly to Joburg for a quick meeting anymore. It's okay to jump on Zoom. And that was I think it was a big tipping point for myself, realizing, and for the clients out there, that, you know, we don't need to be there. In terms of the community in Cape Town, I realized that everyone was dialing on a line. Everyone was quite meeting fatigued anyway. So it was a natural progression for us. It hasn't impacted our work at all. Yeah. That's a good question. I think funding, I'm very biased towards not funding. I just think this, even though I've had such an incredible experience with my funders, but I've heard of horror stories. So one thing you got to know, that when you get funded, you literally are hiring yourself a boss. And I would almost say boss / marriage partner. And because you're spending more time with them than your wife sometimes. So you got to know who you're getting into bed with. And sorry, this is terrible terminology. So you got to know that you got to know the risk. And I just think I've seen more and more. There's so many more entrepreneurs that are able to do it with profitability right now without funding. You know, there's a big discussion I'm having with one or two people now. But funding, if you really want to accelerate that quickly, but you could have a really good business. I would suggest really laying out the business case for it. I think a lot of people think they need funding to increase their marketing, or they want to alleviate competition. But they don't realize that there's a room for 20 other million competitors You don't actually need to beat your competitors that quickly. Sometimes you can just beat based on your customer service, or you find your niche that's more adaptable for you, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I definitely think so. The reason is that what I love about coding, it makes you, it's not for the sake of coding, but it makes you think in a more logical way. And it like helps you just, yeah, I think it's just in terms of a thinking and logic. But and once you understand that logic, you can still use those tools. And I definitely think coding is definitely not going away. It's just the mundane things that you used to code, like websites and emailers and things, have just, those days are finished. And now people are coding more deeper applications, more web applications, more machine learning and things like that. So, but definitely, I would say if you're not too sure what to ever do, please do coding, because I think that they're saying at any given day there's like 1 million jobs available worldwide. There's not enough market. I mean, the market's not big enough. It's not saturated. And my word, you must see what people are earning. I'm really trying hard every day to get my kids to code, but I'm still trying to work at my retirement plan, but it's not working out. But anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, so I think I can talk about it now because we've just launched. So it's easier to talk to it here. So I'm a part of, you remember Godaddy's like a traditional, your domain purchase place where you buy your .coms or .cos. They realized that they own that space, but they want to add value to entrepreneurs. So once you've bought a domain, are you going to have a website? Are you going to build a logo? Are you going to create content? And that's where we come in. So I'm part of the team that's launched a simple tool to help you build a small little website from the palm of your hand. So that's kind of where we are now. And then on top of that, we're looking at, like, obviously just based on the lean agile methodology right now, we're listening to customers and looking at the pain points and building things on top of that. So we've got thousands of users already using this, and now we want to look at like how to add value and build into a bigger ecosystem. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll close it at that. Thanks so much, Gary, for your time.
Thanks.